need trees, and trees need us right now. I mean, they're capable of doing what they do on their own, but they really just need us to stop interfering. I think that we are the biggest threat to trees, right? You know, the activities that we do that cause their demise.
Because of agriculture, most of the trees in Middle Tennessee were already chopped down by the 1850s and 1860s. And then during the Civil War, especially in the area south of downtown, during the Battle of Nashville, basically every tree, almost every tree, was cut down either for firewood or to deny the enemy the ability to hide, things like that. So if you look at photos of what this area looked like, there's practically no trees visible. So the atmosphere that we see at Vanderbilt now is really a man-made, although it has a very natural sort of look, it's really a man-made environment. Easy to just take the big, beautiful trees we have here for granted, but it isn't a given that they're just going to be here. It's here because we plant trees and we take care of them.
We younger people often take it for granted that, well, if I want to know about something, I'll just get on the internet and find the answer. But there's more value in a human connection with a real person who can say, I grew up here and I remember when this parking lot was a forest and my friends and I had a tree house out here and we played, or, that's valuable.
Well, I think if I were to try to characterize threats to trees in Nashville, there would probably be two main categories. One would be just overall development. So, as you know, there are a lot of changes that have been happening recently in terms of increase in housing and gentrification and things like that.
Well, certainly development has made a big impact on trees. With the city growing the way it is in progress, the trees have been affected. And we're concerned somewhat with the overabundance of tree removal. And we understand that some trees do need to be removed for development, but the unnecessary removal is what is concerning. Definitely there are neighborhoods that are growing at a faster pace than others. It's where land is cheaper and proximity to the city and the urban core. And those neighborhoods are definitely areas that where homes are being torn down and new ones, or maybe one or two or four being built on the land that there is.
The other thing, of course, is sort of the ongoing issues with disease, and in particular the emerald ash borer was recently found in Nashville. And so although this affects only one particular species of tree, which is the ashes, it will have a devastating effect because there basically is 100% mortality. They're not round, let's put it that way. That one's oval shaped. That one, it's a little hard to tell. See, there was another one. There were like 4. Once the infestation gets into full swing, it's just gonna, I don't know how many years I've read up on this, but it's on the scale of 2, 3, 4 years between the first signs that you're seeing infected trees and them all being dead.
Trees provide a great array of environmental benefits. They filter stormwater, they clean our air, they reduce carbon sequestration, and they provide a sense of well-being for communities. And some studies have said that trees help reduce crime.
And certainly there's a psychological component to trees. People are just happier when they're in areas where there are lots of big green trees around. Another benefit that trees provide is that they do moderate the temperatures in an area. We have a tendency in Nashville for things to get really hot during the summertime, and certainly the tree canopy helps to reduce the temperatures during the summertime.
It's day-to-day choices that we make that affect And even if someone is not necessarily ready to grow trees or become an urban farmer, they can make those small choices. They can be conscious about where they spend their money, and support organizations that are doing this work.
We also feel that that neighbors are a great voice for trees, that we would love to see neighborhoods plant more trees. The city only owns 5% of the land in Davidson County, and neighbors are key to the success and sustainability of our tree canopy.
So, the more support there is for planting trees like that, the more trees that are going to get planted. And, so that's something that is affected by governmental agencies as opposed to individuals. Obviously, once you get outside of the right-of-way, then property owners can basically do what they want.
Residents could plant a tree if there's room in their yard. You have to watch out for power lines and underground utilities, and we want to make sure that the right tree is planted in the right place, because we don't want to see in a few years a tree that grows into the power lines have to be trimmed. And you can also go support planting. If you don't have room, you can support tree planting efforts in the city. And if you're building a house or if you're adding on, consider that old tree and what it took for that old tree to be as old as it is, and protect the tree.
So, planting a tree is really kind of an act of faith in the future, and you can't get too emotionally involved in the fate of any particular trees, because if you do, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. So it really is easy to take for granted. If you walk down a tree-lined street and there's these big, beautiful trees, you have to always keep in mind that somebody 50, 80, 100 years ago had enough vision to plant a little stick and believe that someday that was going to be a large tree. And so it's kind of like standing on the shoulder of giants, if you want to think of it that way.